I do not work for people, I work with people.
Welcome to Operational Harmony, Balancing Business and Mental Well-Being, a podcast with honest discussions about professional life and mental well-being in a natural conversational way. Your host is Nikki, founder of Nikki's Office, where she supports entrepreneurs through operations, systems, and strategy. And now, let's hear from our guest.
Hi, I am Dr. Michelle Griffin, and I have a PhD in industrial organizational psychology. I run and own and operate Griffin Resources, as well as a few other companies. Griffin Resources provides outsourced HR, payroll, recruiting, and leadership coaching for small to mid-sized businesses. We've been around for about 6.5 years now. And right now we service approximately 80 clients across the US. We do have some international companies, and we basically make sure that we provide the operational back-end support for companies that definitely don't need a full-time person or maybe even a part-time person. So we kind of just sell our hours and time away to the companies that need it. And so very excited to talk to you, Nikki. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So you sound like you do a lot of the same things I do, except I don't do recruiting because no, thank you very much. I don't want it to be my fault if something doesn't work out between two people.
Actually, it's kind of funny you say that. I don't like recruiting personally either. I convinced one of my original colleagues from a company that I was at for about 5.5 years, I think. She was my top recruiter there. And so as soon as I started the company, I begged her to come on board with me. And she said no because she didn't want to work for a startup. Well, then the pandemic hit and she didn't, obviously, with a lot of recruiters, she got laid off. And so I convinced her to start as a contractor. So we kind of got a feel for how things would work. So then she started working as just a recruiter and over the years worked her way up. So now she actually runs the recruiting department. And so, to be honest, if she wasn't there to run it, I don't think we'd offer it.
That's probably a good thing. I mean, for me, it's a great thing because, like, dude, if you want to do it, sure, you can do it.
Exactly. So, yeah, we definitely have a great team for it. But yeah, I solidly like, thanks for building that because otherwise I'd be like, no, we don't. Yeah. So it's been great. And just as clients ask for things, we tend to add it on. So I've been her boss for probably, I think now 10, 11 years of her adult life, but we're also great friends. So it works out really well.
That's good. So I have the same, like, you're describing me, you just do it at a bigger scale with more people involved because I'm just me by myself. But I'm the one who does the back end for people as they go, oh, well, I had this new idea. And I go, oh, man. Okay, what is it? The truth. And then I have to learn how to do that. That's how I learned how to edit videos. That's how I
wow.
learned how to do a lot of different things because it was just like they needed the help with that. And I can do that now.
Awesome. Rather than it be myself, while I started the company, I was still getting my PhD. So I thought it was going to be, let's say, passive income to hire people and have them do the work so I could focus on my doctorate and they could kind of do the day-to-day needs for the clients. I was sorely mistaken. I just ended up having to run a company full-time and go to school full-time, and then I was just doing everything full-time for years. But rather than me personally learn it, I would just hire other people to do the thing that anyone asked for. And then the same thing happened as our companies grew. So mine is the obviously HR operations one, and my husband's is IT hardware distribution. And so as both of the companies grew and we both needed resources, we made another company, which we call Griffin Cloud. And that is the one that we hired video editors, social media assistant, like virtual assistants, and that entire staff. We also started creating our own software systems, applicant tracking systems, anything that we kind of just wanted. We found it cheaper to build it and share it amongst the companies. So yeah, I would just delegate everything rather than do it myself.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like I'm the laziest person alive. I work a lot, but I delegate a lot.
Everybody delegates to me, and then I get it done. And then they're like, well, that only took you like 20 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, because I know what I'm doing. It's not that hard. The
So how
video
long have
editing
you?
I do is pretty simple usually
Yeah.
because they don't want it to be anything more. When I first learned, I learned how to do a whole bunch of stuff. And I was like, oh, we can do this cool stuff. And they were like, yeah, I just kind of want the video. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I don't even get to do none of the cool stuff.
Aw.
But
So what are some of the, I guess, normal things that clients ask you to do for operations or back end things?
I do newsletters. I currently have a phone that I'm answering when it's switched over to me during the week
Oh,
to
okay.
set up appointments as they come in. However, I sound like I'm a VA. If you listen the different things I list off, you'll be like, oh, well, that's a VA. And they're not operations or tech. That's just VA. First of all, no, because no, that's not how it works. I do all of the tech, all of the behind the scenes for people who don't know how to do the tech or the behind the, like, don't even know how to log
Hmm.
into the software that they paid for.
Yeah.
And are just like, Nikki, just do it. I don't want to deal with it. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can do that. But I do not work for people. I work with people. That is how I differentiate. Because when you work for somebody, they're constantly going, oh, did you put this sentence in this thing? And I'm like, why would I have? That doesn't make any sense. And you look like an idiot if you put that sentence in there. Oh, okay. Where a VA would be like, yeah, I put that in there. It's right there. And I'm about to send it out.
Yeah.
No. So, yeah, I do know some really good VAs, and I'm not saying that they all would put the stupid sentence in there or whatever. But I work with my people. I teach them how to do things. I help them understand why the sentence that they just gave me is absolute garbage and cannot go anywhere. That kind of thing. Whereas a VA would be more like, oh, this is a task. I shall plug A into B and we're done.
Yeah.
So there's a difference in that for me.
I really like that distinction of with versus for. And a lot of times we ended up saying that the word consulting was kind of a dirty word
Mm.
in what we do because we didn't like the connotation of it being we just tell the client what to do or give them feedback without giving them any kind of context or, being able to help them through the resolution. So we took it out of our vocabulary and started saying, that we definitely work more internally with the clients. Most of the time, we get an internal email address and function within their
Mhm.
ecosystem, not only getting access to their systems, but also communicating with their employees as their dedicated HR rep. And most of the time, when that happens, we work with our clients for many, many, many years. And as most companies, they don't grow very, very quickly or scale, on a mass quantity. Most of the time they need us for several years because we're really good with companies that are up to about 75 people. By then they should probably hire a dedicated person and then we might become a smaller piece of what they need and then we can support them kind of ancillary. But companies up to that size, we're pretty much the day-to-day function of HR. And definitely working with them and kind of not for them. My dad used to tell me my grandparents were military. My parents were not military. They were just military brats, but I'm sure that's where they got most of their parenting style from. But my dad used to say, when I say jump, you say how high. And I always tell my employees, if a client says something to you, don't just automatically run and do it. Just because they said jump, you don't have to say how high and how far and how fast. Like you should be, the expert in what it is. You should be researching it. You should be guiding them and giving back your expert feedback and guiding them through whatever it is that they want versus just running off and doing it. And you're going to get them in trouble. You're going to get us in trouble. It's not good. Don't do it. So that is something that we kind of try to coach out of some of our people.
So what's interesting is I am a military brat. I have heard that before. And my shirt is military. This is from a guy online called The Fat Electrician. He's really good at doing military histories and stuff, so
Oh, nice.
he's good. He has no idea who I am. He's not paying me to say that. He's not paying me to wear his shirt. I had to buy the shirt. I like the comfy shirt. So there you go. But yeah, being a military brat, when you go into business for yourself, when you have heard, or even being in the military, you go into business for yourself and you're the owner and somebody says, well, do this. And your first response is, yeah, okay. Wait, no, this is stupid. This is a bad idea. But your brain takes a second to kick in because your first response is always, oh yeah, sure, right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Unless you're talking to one of the drill sergeants, and then it's just drill sergeant.
Yes.
I did not get to go into the military myself. I have two things that would stop me, being psoriasis and asthma. Can't breathe, and I have funky stuff that happens on my skin, and so they wouldn't let me in the military back then. I wanted to, so bad,
Oh,
but I couldn't. But I do have that, sometimes somebody will say something to me and they're like, hey, can you do this, this, and this? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then I look at it and I go, no, actually I can't. Look, this actually requires your voice, your emotional input. You have to do that. I can't reply to people with your voice. So if these are just regular people replying to you, you have to reply to them. If they hit one for a newsletter or something, sure, I can handle that, because then I just do the, make sure ManyChat or whatever is working properly or whatever. But you have to talk to people who come into your inbox and are like, hey, Jessica told me that you're mad at me. Dude, I'm not replying to that. Ever. I'm not getting in the middle of that fight.
You're like, I am not the mediator. Nope.
Because if you leave that to me, I'm about to get petty. And I'll be like, oh, listen about you. Where wouldn't I be? Your face is ugly. I don't know.
You're like, I'm going to escalate it just because you asked me to reply. I'm going to make it worse for you.
I gotta get petty sometimes. But yeah.
When I was first getting promoted to HR, I was at a webinar and I was meeting with people that, had already climbed the corporate ladder and things like that. And there was an older lady that was, obviously been in the industry for 20 some odd years, whatever. But one of the things she had told me was never tell an executive no, but find a way to figure out how to give them what they want. And so that I kind of had to kind of coincide with the thought process of, as soon as they say, do something, don't just run away and do it. I had a really good example of this when I had he had well intentions. I had a CEO that told me that he wanted to pay, they were salaried exempt people, but he wanted to pay them overtime for doing extra hard work on this project of whatever it was. And I was like, you can't pay people overtime if they're salary, because even if they are properly classified, if you treat them like a non-exempt person, then you automatically make them a non-exempt person just by treating them that way. And I was like, what we can do, though, is figure out approximately what that overtime should have been and make a bonus out of that. And I was like, and then we can bonus them, but we cannot call it overtime in payroll and obviously give them a bonus for doing the extra work. But they shouldn't clock their time. You can't make salaried people clock their time for the sake of clocking time to give them overtime. That's non-exempt. And so he was like, yeah, cool. Whatever you just said, go do it. I was like, at least I gave him what he wanted, but I kind of was thought through it, talked to, the payroll team, talked to the attorneys, and was like, I want to make sure we do this correctly without causing any issues with, payroll and Department of Labor and all that other stuff. And obviously that worked out. So those are kind of the things that's probably the first example that I had when I was first promoted, was being faced with something like that. And there was a few other times that I've actually pushed back and like got into some heated arguments with executives because of the decisions they wanted to make. And I was like, no, I'm not going to let you do that. A lot of it had to do with like discrimination or, certain things. And, just they wanted to fire somebody over something that, they learned about their health or, they learned about a mental disability. They learned they were on the spectrum, something like that. And they were like, fire them. And I'm like, absolutely not. And I'm like, they're an excellent employee. They perform everything very well. Like, we don't even have to do much of an accommodation. Like, we're going to do that and we're not firing them. I will not let you. So there's been a few times where I've actually stood up and was like, no.
Mhm. I have had to stand up in different ways. I had a lady call me one time and she was like, so I want to take the videos that the one person has done with you and I want to get the scripts from them and I want to redo them in my voice. And I went, yeah,
Yeah.
that's called plagiarism. You can't do that. That's illegal.
Mm.
And she was just like, oh, but I just want to copy it. And I'm like,
That's
not-
exactly what that protects. You can't just go copying people. I mean, obviously, especially if there's copyrights or trademarks or published information, like you can't just go rebranding that as your own.
yeah. So I was like, so what you can do is take that script and figure out a way to make it yours with your
Mhm.
voice, your sentiment, your whatever behind it.
Mhm.
And you say not the same thing, but you make
Mhm.
it, different for you. You
Yeah.
use different pictures doing the video and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, well, that sounds hard. And I'm like, it's not
Yes,
really.
I was like, but that's also why you can't copy people's stuff because they put the effort into it the first time. Like,
Well, like, it's not really. I can help you do it, but you have to listen.
yeah.
And right now I sound like I only do video. Trust me, that is not all I do. There is a lot of different things I do, but this is where this example fits in the best. But yeah, she was just like, no, but I just wanted to, be on, I'll just take his and put it on my YouTube channel then. Absolutely not. That is even worse. No, thank you. Please stop trying to do illegal things and calling me and telling me about it. And it becomes
You're like, no.
premeditated. Like, please stop this
Like,
now.
You're like, no.
You
The one
pushed me into
thing,
this.
yeah, the one thing I thought was interesting in school was self-plagiarism. So that was really hard to not do. And so if I had previously obviously turned in a paper, um, and then I could technically reference it, but I couldn't obviously like copy my own work and turn it back in. And so when the school would run it through, turn it in, which is
Mhm.
it was kind of about early AI scanners kind of thing. Now they'll obviously have plagiarism and AI detectors and all this other stuff that they do now. But um, that was something it would scan for was your own previous, like either publications or turned in work. And from the entire course
Mhm.
of, school and stuff like that. Um, and what's really bad, like my dissertation is about 360 pages or something like that. I think published it's just under 300 with all the redacted information. And so to not self-plagiarize or I could only rewrite the same verbiage, like over specific, like sentences such as a thesis statement or
Mhm.
something like that. Otherwise, everything had to be rewritten like throughout the entire document. And that was probably also something really hard. I'm really glad that I graduated. I graduated in 2023. So just as AI was coming on the market, I would have been so tempted to be like, make it like this, but reworded so it's not my words again and again. And I just have to keep re-saying the same thing, like the same kind of ideas. But yeah, that was, I can definitely see how obviously using AI in the workforce is definitely necessary. And I'm starting to see how it is impacting so many people. How do you find it from in your work? Obviously, I think with video productions or editing and things like that, are you finding it makes it easier and faster to edit things, or is it starting to take over things?
So for me, I know that there are a lot of places where you can go put a video in and it'll give you an edited form of it. For a full video, I hate those things so bad because the way they
Mhm.
edit it is so bad. I
Yeah.
will take and put my video into Descript, go through the words and take out what I need to. Then I put it
Mhm.
into a different program that I use and I make sure the sound is good. But putting it into AI at the very beginning to just have an edited video,
Mhm.
for me, I don't like it. I will, however, take a fully done video that I have done, like my podcast.
Mhm.
Um, and after it's done being edited and it's everything I want for it to be on its own as a big format, I'll go and put it into Opus clips to chop it into pieces and say, here, these ones are the best ones. And I'm like, okay. And I pick one and make sure that it looks right before I download it and put it
Mhm.
somewhere. So yeah, I have used some of those. Others, like I have tried to use, what is the name of that one? CapCut. I've tried to use it.
Mhm.
I can't. I hate it so much.
Mm.
It irritates me near to death. And the big thing for me is if you have a long form video, why are you editing it on your phone?
I was gonna say, like, I knew of CapCut, but only from, a a TikTok video, short
Yeah.
video, Instagram
Or
videos,
even
things
doing
like
short
that.
videos, trying to do that
Yeah.
kind of thing, editing it on a phone. Maybe it's
Yeah.
because my eyeballs hate me, but no, it's just like I can't like maneuver this properly. I can't make sure this is exactly where I want it because you're gonna snap
Mhm.
to a grid line and I need it to go to the in between place or something like that. I can't do that. I want to be able to edit on my computer where I have the best access to what is happening to be able to do things. That may be a me thing.
Yeah.
Other people seem to love CapCut. I would very much disagree with that, but that's them and I'm me. But like I said, I just use the things that will take it and make it a short. And then like for
Mhm.
that short, I can add, images into it
I
or
was gonna ask about that,
like
like
movie stuff.
images or
Yeah.
yeah,
Onto a
or
little
even
short.
words. Yeah,
Hmm.
like different whatever, like
Yeah.
different things to make it more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I can do that right in Opus Clips. I
Yeah.
don't there's a lot of different, editing software out there for your phone, and
Mhm.
all that does to me is go, "Yeah, you've got this itty bitty, teeny weeny little
Mm.
button that I've gotta somehow get my fat fingers on in order to edit this thing properly."
Mhm.
And yet it's not going to go where I want it to go. It's not gonna do it how I want it to do it.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just probably a me thing, but, I don't like it. My biggest
Yeah, I mean, I don't make a lot of I'll make little videos or something, but a lot of it is just almost like slideshows or something like that I'm putting on my own personal social media or
Mhm.
something. And then all of the work videos and things like that are all done by the editing team. And I'm there I should have asked what they did because there was a video that I did for my internal team, like and we made like onboarding videos. So I was kind of explaining the history of the company so I don't have to I was meeting with everybody and I still meet with everybody, but that entire meeting was just me telling the same story over and over again. I was like, "Well, let me just record this so that they can go watch that, and then when I talk to them, I can just have a meaningful conversation with them and not just
Mhm.
talk about the company." And so that's what we did. And when the team was obviously I couldn't get through the whole story without having to need to edit it and chop it down and stuff. But there was something that the team did that when they edited it, I honestly looked drunk. And it doesn't look like that in the original video. There was some kind of the AI that did for
Mhm.
chopping it up and putting it back together, whatever happened. My eyes just looked slightly closed and it was so weird because the original video didn't look like that. And I don't know what software they did, but they fixed
Yeah.
it. And once we caught it, they went back and did that. And there was a few times where just kind of chopping it together, the words didn't align back up with my mouth movements.
Mhm.
Some of that was just the quality of the recording originally. If I ever fix it, I would just have to go back and re-record it with better, quality
I would
recordings.
I would recommend the script, like I said, because what
Yeah.
it does is you put in the video that you want to edit, and it gives you every word said, every triple word. I had somebody do like 9 "thes" in a row, so they obviously had a twitch moment happen or something, I don't know. But, like, and then you can go in and, like, take out, well, you can, like, have the AI go in and take out all the
Oh, okay.
repeat words and the ums and the stuff like that. And
Mhm.
then you read through it, and
Mhm.
as somebody goes, "The brown dog cat sing went through the thing," you can fix it so that it lines up correctly with the right thing, and it never takes the person's mouth away from them. Like, the mouth
Okay.
movements stay right there with them. That's
Oh,
really nice.
interesting. Okay.
Again, you can do different effects with that. I
Mhm.
use a different program. I use what do I use? Really turning into a video editing podcast. I'm gonna go there. But I use Power Director,
Okay.
or I use the other one, which is more complicated, so newbies probably want to stay away from it. But DaVinci Resolve. And that one's one of those ones where if you pay like $300, I think it was,
Mhm.
$200 in there somewhere, and I think I got it even on sale from that. Um, it's yours forever. And you get the updates and
Oh,
everything. So it's
okay.
a one-time larger fee, but you get it forever. It's a little more
Mm,
complicated to learn, so it depends on the the technology that the person is more comfortable with. I use Power Director because you still get great stuff and it's
mhm.
less technical. I mean, I am
Mhm.
very much techie, but even for me, sometimes Power is always like, wait, I have to what to do
Yeah.
that? So, but Power Director is more direct on things, and so I can get it, and that is a yearly fee.
Right. So, I mean, obviously, I feel like social media and the ability for people to edit or have their own content completely replaces the need for, let's say, like commercials or radio ads, like olden time, like media and marketing. Versus now, I think that's more attainable for people. Most of my business was grown out of my own networking. So I would reach out to people on LinkedIn and especially during COVID, there's no networking in person happening during.
Mm.
And so I would just reach out and say, can we meet? Can we network? And that kind of thing. You just kind of just schedule one-on-ones with people and eventually either the business need worked for them or they could refer me to someone else they knew and that kind
Yeah.
of thing. But that's like 90% of where the business came from. And I didn't start doing and then I mean I would do I don't even think I used like LinkedIn like to post anything until much later when we actually started, setting up our own social media, having the team that we share with the companies to do that. And I think that has helped with some exposure and which is also why I like being able to be a guest on other people's podcasts and things like that. But I'm gonna kinda ask you, like, how do you see, like, this kind of content and more attainable videos and things like that, how it's changing marketing and what people are doing and seeing and that kinda thing?
So it depends. I have seen there are a lot of podcasts. Everybody
Mhm,
everybody wants to have a podcast. I've been doing mine for almost 2 years, my 3rd season because I
mhm,
started halfway through the 1st year, and that was the season, and the new year was a new season. That's kinda how I've been doing it. But,
mhm,
the there are 2 lanes of people. There are the people who get over the top, sound and video, and I'm gonna make sure that this is the sound studio and all that kind of thing. And they spend all that money because they want to make money as a podcaster,
Mm.
which can happen, but it doesn't happen overnight. And so sometimes they'll burn themselves out either before they make any money or just after they start making money. They're just like, I don't even want to do this anymore
Mhm.
because they're bored. They want to move on to the next thing. Then you have the people probably like me who are obviously, I have invested in a good mic, I have a good camera, but I'm not like all in on it. I spend 90% of my days in meetings, so having the mic and camera were important anyway.
Mhm.
And I'm doing it. I am talking to the people I want to talk to most of the time. Every once in a while, somebody gets through who is like, oh, yeah, well, I want to talk about this. And then the day of, they lecture me to death and I about fall asleep. That happens. You deal with. Look, if I started talking about all of the characters that I have met on my podcast, we'd need a straitjacket. Because I've had some interesting people. But at the same time, like you do meet people, you do create, a I wouldn't say relationship, but you create a moment with somebody and that you're
Mhm.
talking to them and you can agree with them and you're doing the thing. And I do it in a way that doesn't bring some topics into it so that it can bring people together. Then
Mhm.
you have the podcasts that are trying to tear people apart. They deliberately are putting their politics first or their
Mhm.
other stuff first. And it depends on the lane you choose, how
Mhm.
good or bad that ends up being for you. But
Mhm.
if you're a trash person, it's usually going to come out in the wash at some point, and people are going to know that you're trash and they're going to walk away. But so
I think it's interesting that it's kind of shifting what people see as a career path too, now that you
yeah.
bring that up. Um, I have a friend that's a high school teacher, and, when kids are like saying what do they want to go to college for? What are they going to do next? Whatever. A lot of them are saying like they want to be an influencer as a job.
Which
They
is
don't know how to
not
do
as
that.
easy as people
No,
think. I am so
no.
sorry to tell you, but social media is like a dog eat dog world. And also, everybody thinks that the influencer is perfect. They have the perfect life, they have the perfect
Mhm.
this. And then 6 months, a year down the road, couple years down the road,
Mhm.
what do you find out? That person is an actual trash human being who has been
Mm.
stealing from or doesn't live the way they say they live. They've just been doing that for the views. Look,
Mhm.
if somebody says that they're baking and they're only using one pan, sure. How
Mm.
many bowls did they use? How many measuring cups? How much dishes do they actually have? Because I guarantee you that one pan is not how it all happens because you have to
Mhm.
mix things and stuff like that. So it's not going to be just one dish. It's never going
Mhm.
to be just one dish.
You're
I'm
like,
so
dump it
sorry.
in there. And or if
Especially
you are dumping it,
casserole.
it's gonna
And
like
even a casserole.
it's not gonna be good. Like
Even a casserole, you have to cook the noodles first. So there's a pan. And then you put it into the pan with all the rest of the stuff and put cheese on it. Gotta have tons of cheese on a casserole. And you put it in the oven and you do it. But you have used dishes because,
Mm.
like, you have to mix the stuff together. And I don't know. I don't want a big old wedge of tuna in one corner of the thing and all the peas to be at the other end of the thing. Like, that's absolutely, and I'm not putting peas in anything anyway because ew for sogginess. But, you want
Yeah,
it to be
the
just,
clickbait stuff that's out there for that drives me insane,
yeah.
and it's like the most disgusting things, and I'm just like, "Oh, this is horrible,"
Yeah.
of
See,
what
some of them,
people
they're
just
like, this is my favorite dip salad, chip salad. So they eat
yeah.
it with a chip. And I'm like, great. And then they put like 16 different beans in the bowl. And I'm like, ew, no. Why would you do that? That's absolutely disgusting. Stop doing that. Stop eating chalk. But there is, you know, um, there is a space for people to do different things. They have
Mhm.
people who are like acting out whatever is happening in songs and stuff. And I think that they do
Mhm.
some pretty cool stuff. There are people who read Am I the Butthole posts from Reddit. Those can get really unhinged and really fun to listen to. But at the same time, if you think your life is going to be perfect because you've decided to become an influencer, I hate to break your heart, but it's going to get broken
Mhm.
because it's not like that. You
Mm.
don't become rich overnight. You can get a lot of followers, um, and, have a good, decent thing. And then somebody
Mhm.
else comes along and is like, oh, you only have 1 million? I have 5 million. How dare you not have as many as me?
You're like,
Why are
at
they
some point
on
you
the
had 1
ballot?
million. Yeah, it's like you grew. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get asked that a lot as an entrepreneur because it obviously takes grind and
Hmm.
grit and consistency and not giving up when things get tough. And, people always look at the success of it. And it's just you don't always put out there like all of the, trial and tribulations
Mm.
and heartache that
Nobody's
happens.
out there going, you know what? It took 15 hours for me to get this
Exactly.
one video
Yeah.
recorded, edited and uploaded. And that was just one video of the 7 I did this week. That's going to tell you something,
Okay.
right? But they don't do that. It's like, it's
Mhm.
like English, right? Where you do the work and hide the mistakes and the
Mhm.
outtakes and stuff. Nobody sees all of that. They just see the really good thing.
Mhm.
Where real life is more like math, ugly and very confusing.
And I mean,
Simples in it.
and you're like, "Yeah, why is that even in there?" The and that's definitely something that I think a lot of people when they want like a get rich quick
Mhm.
answer, and they're just like, it's gotta be easy. And it's like, if it's worth it and you get the results, it was never easy.
It was never meant to
And
be easy. None of it's meant to
yeah.
be. Life is meant to, you're supposed to work at it, right? If you have trauma in your background, it's going to take more to keep working at it.
Yeah.
But we are here to live, which means things are usually hard because you do not live in a glass bubble or the bouncy ball that the one kid was in that movie. Like, weird things come to mind sometimes. But you're not alone in the world. And sometimes that can be good thing and comforting to know that you're not alone. And other times, it's horrifying to know that you are not alone. Usually in the middle of the night when you all of a sudden hear breathing. But no matter where you are on that path, if you're an 18-year-old just starting out, the biggest thing you
Mhm.
have to remember is you're going to stumble. You're going to hit
Mhm.
your knees. You're going to get back up and keep going because that's the only
Mhm.
answer there is. It's hard work. It's
Yeah.
just like becoming a ballerina. You don't become a ballerina overnight. You don't just
Mhm.
decide one day, I'm going to become a ballerina. You probably have to lose a bunch of weight.
Obviously, it's like years and hours of,
Hmm.
becoming an expert in something. And that I think the next generation has such an interesting time with because the research is showing that every generation is having job turnover much and much faster. And it's like exponentially. So, like the older generation, obviously they had pensions and they had some kind of motivation to stay with the same company for like a
Yeah.
lifetime.
Yeah,
Those
they
are
have
gone.
loyalty.
There's nothing that is gonna, keep them there or whatever. And so then, you know, next down like millennials, turnover was like every 24 months. There was like 2 years, 2.5 years. The next generation, for Gen Z, was about half, like 18 months, 12, 18 months. And now the newest generation coming into the workforce, we're seeing turnover within 3 months, 6 months. And they're just like, well, I have job experience. And I'm like, no, you don't. You have, you weren't there long. You were there long enough to figure out how to do the job. But by the time you realize how hard it is or that it is a job and it takes effort, you quit.
Mhm.
As soon as something didn't go your way or something wasn't right, you quit. So you can't just, it's like there's a reason why there's a 90-day, you know, the space to be able to say, like, if they quit, you don't get your unemployment or whatever. Like 90 days is important because by then you're still finding your feet. And if you leave a company that fast and, you don't have a year of experience, you have the, same four jobs 3 times, same every 3 months, 4 times. Like that's not the same. You're not learning anything and you're not getting through the trials and tribulations. So yeah, those are the things where I'm just like, the next generation, I don't know where they're going to end up. That they're creating the gig economy
Mhm.
and they're running with it. They want multiple jobs, they want passive income, but that stuff is hard and it's not consistent.
There are. So you got boomers who
Mhm.
totally devoted to one company because that company would pay them dollar bills and give them a pension so that when they retire, they'd be able to live out the rest of their life because of that. And then you had like Gen X who are probably the cavemen of the world. And I'm like right on the cusp there. Sometimes I'm counted as one, sometimes I'm not. So please do not take that as a bomb at them. But they're like the feral generation. Nobody paid attention to us. Okay.
Mhm.
Like let's count me in there because I'm 81 and I want to be counted as Gen X and a millennial in the first place. Because, like, nobody was watching us. We got sent
Mhm.
outside. And if you had to go to the bathroom too many times in one day, you got stuck sitting on the couch watching soap operas, which have to be the most boring thing on the planet, which is why they're, like, on a special channel now that you have to pay money for. Good luck for the old ladies who still watch those. I don't even know. And, but like nobody was watching us. We did what we wanted. We had to figure things out faster
Mhm.
because nobody was going to help. Like there was nobody around to help except for other kids, and we would do what we could for some of the kids, but like you couldn't protect everybody, and
Mhm.
you weren't protected by everybody. Some of them were just like, yeah, you're the problem, so go away. And so like you grew up doing that, and then you go to work, and this person is like, you didn't write enough sentences today. And Gen X will tell you to F off without hesitation because that crap are you even talking about? But they are also the type that if they get into the right workplace with the right people, they will do amazing because they will just go and do. They will
Mhm.
figure it out. They don't have to know how to do it now. Give it to them, they'll go figure it out.
Mhm.
Then you have the millennials who figured out if I quit my job every 2 years, I can make way more money by the time
Mhm.
retirement comes than I could if I stayed in one company for the whole time
Mhm.
because you get sign on bonuses and stuff like that. So,
Mhm.
yay, let
And
me
you
put
can
that.
negotiate you can negotiate your
Mhm.
salary and
Mhm.
yeah.
And so they usually, and every job change, they ended up getting their pay bumped a little bit. Where if they stayed at the
Mhm.
same company, doing the same thing, they wouldn't get that pay bump because why would they? They were doing it
Mhm.
already. Um, then the next two generations, whichever ones they are called, I can't keep them all on track. Fine with the four I know, or three I know, the number of ones I know. And so we have had gentle parenting,
Mm.
which I do think can be done. But a lot of times the people who are doing it or the way that they're doing it is just, oh, Johnny wanted to go swimming, so he went swimming in the neighbor's pool. That's nice. Johnny's so good. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
There are
You
still
can't just
consequences for actions. You can't just go and get in somebody else's pool. Like, that's not good for Johnny, right? That's actually illegal. You trespassed. Again, stop doing illegal crap. And then, so little Johnny, who has never had anybody give him a consequence to anything, grows up
Mhm.
and thinks that life is supposed to be easy. And so every 3 months, he's getting knocked on his butt because this isn't easy. I have to put work in. Why would I do
Mhm.
that? So you go to the next thing. And then they go to the parents' basement and they don't work and they end up doing whatever. And everybody always blames the games. It's not the games
Mhm.
that are the problem. I work full time for myself. I have clients, I have work to do. I have games that I play every single day.
Mhm.
Usually for at least an hour after I've done the work so that I can be, it's my F off time. And so that I can
Yeah.
go have fun. I'm not going out to bars and drinking and stuff like that. So leave me and my games alone. But then as soon as somebody's stuck in the basement playing games, it's the game's fault. No,
Mm.
no. You want to know what the problem is there? The parent.
Mhm.
For never teaching little Johnny that there are consequences to things and that life isn't easy.
Mhm.
And now you're stuck with the problem because you created it yourself. They're never leaving there, especially if you're cooking them food every day. Like,
And yeah, they didn't learn life skills
mm-hmm.
on their own. And that's also interesting of the newest youngest generation. They like if they have to go in the office, like, let's say it's an office job, they don't know how to address an envelope. They literally don't know what a stamp is and why it's used. They've never seen anything like that. If they've never written a check or anything like that. Um,
They
or
don't even know
even
cursive anymore, do they? They
no,
don't get taught that in school. So how are
so
you
they don't
supposed to
have a signature.
sign the money amounts and sign your name?
Mhm.
So
I have no idea what they do if they print their name now. I've never seen what a young person does for a signature. If they scribble their
I'm
name, I
gonna
don't really
sound
know.
very old and be like, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it's really difficult, I think, as an employer to set up those expectations for people. I would say I kind of can't employ people like early without any kind of experience. Most of them have college degrees. It's not required, but most of them do. Um, so they've learned some kind of, skills from Google Docs, Microsoft Office, whatever. But I've started to hear issues of employers that do employ, kids right out of high school or whatever that and I don't know if this is just me being old or if this really is a generational thing. This is the first generation that I'm aware of that whatever shorthands and idioms that they use in their regular life, they use that in the business setting.
Yeah, I've
And
heard
I've
that
never
myself.
seen and I've never seen other like, as a millennial, I didn't do that. I mean, I'm sure we had, certain phrases and things like that that kinda stuck with us, but I still think we had knowledge of the fact that we can't, like, we have to speak professionally and present ourselves professionally, and I'm not seeing that in the next generation.
But I don't think the person to blame is completely the the teen, right?
Mhm.
Because they should have learned cursive from the what, second
They
grade?
Well, they should have learned a lot of, obviously life skills. They should have
Yeah.
learned, how to speak, how to write, how to behave. And, obviously there's all kinds of,
Mhm.
issues from parents to teachers to the system, to the curriculum, to
Yeah.
whatever's being built. But I don't think we're bringing
I
up the next generation for where our world is going, whether it be all of the tech advancements that are happening. Because I get asked often how to make sure that your workforce is, you know, not going to be just completely obsolete with all the tech advancements. And in a lot of ways, the tech advancements is going to make people obsolete. but you still have to figure out how to
So
work
in
with the
my mind, it's
technology.
not. So here's my thoughts on that, because a lot of
Mhm,
people are like, "Oh, you know, we're gonna
mhm,
have to quit, or we're gonna get fired," or
mhm,
no, because if a company fires you, they're not going to be in business for very much longer. You've got to be
mhm,
about the stupidest person on the planet to fire the people who are running the AI or any other
mhm,
thing and say, "Well, we
mm,
need you anymore. We have AI." Great. Now who's going to run the AI?
right. Like, you have
Think
to
dumb.
that's what I mean, like, you have to
AI is
grow
a
and
partner.
advance.
Your
Yeah.
AI is a partner to your employee. They help the employee get more done quicker with less stress and
I was like
better grammar. 'Cause
and
I'm
same thing
telling you
with
now, it fixed my
automation.
spelling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and I was like, so you can definitely do more with less overhead. So,
Mhm,
obviously, you don't have to, fire people. They can be obviously trained and upskilled to work in tandem, and obviously, you don't have to keep paying, you know, more and more and more kind of thing. Obviously, but tech is expensive too. Though those are the kinds of things where I feel like, you know, over the years, like, for example, toll booth workers, most of
mhm,
them, don't have people sitting there anymore, but there's still people to obviously run the
mhm,
systems and things like that. But you don't have to sit there and be the toll collector anymore. Obviously over the years, jobs became, as industries changed,
mhm.
jobs became obsolete and we've adapted. So when we went from horses to cars, we no longer needed, innkeepers and inns every, you know, few miles or whatever with, horse-drawn carriages, and they would have to have stables and everything else, and, you know, it took about, I think, 25 years for the United States to transition from horse and carriage to cars, and that entire infrastructure of blacksmiths and, you know, the workers and things like that completely shifted into, obviously, automotive, and all of that got put out of business, and we adapted. It's not like there was this huge uproar and crisis of saying, "We're shutting down this entire horse industry
There
because
are
we're
still
going into
blacksmiths.
automation."
There are
Yeah,
still
well,
blacksmiths. There are still people who have,
there's still
horses and
cobblers.
stables and things like that. They're all still there. What happens is you don't have 6,000 of them, some of
Mhm,
them who do a craptastic job, but you need somebody in that area to do it, so there you go.
mhm,
No, what you ended up with is a very few amount of them that all do super duper good work, because
mhm,
they know if they want that to be their thing, if they want to make
mhm,
money at it, they're gonna have to do good work for it. But there are blacksmiths still out there. There, instead of inns everywhere with four horse-drawn carriages, we have hotels everywhere so people can go have a fun afternoon. Um, you know, there are lots of, there's still lots of those.
mhm.
So I don't think that anything ever disappears. I think it
Exactly. It
transitions into a
transitions. Mhm,
slightly different thing. Those toll
mhm,
booth workers, I don't know exactly how that worked, because I do know a lot of that is automation, but I do think there are still some of them who do the toll collecting, because
mhm,
there are still pay lines. I don't
mhm,
know that that automatically happens. It might. I don't know. We take the toll thingy that we got the pass
mhm.
thing, so I
Exactly.
have absolutely no idea what the other lanes do. Not my problem. Not my monkey. Not my circus. Not my problem. Um, but we still have toll booths. Pretty sure that at least some of them might have a person in it because of problems, or if the ones
Mhm,
with the computers in them that are counting the money go down, you obviously have to be able to switch them over to a human for people to be able to turn in money or whatever that needs to be done. So it just, yeah, no, it transitions.
mhm,
And the transitions that need to happen now are, people need to stop being afraid of AI.
mhm.
Now, does that mean you get to go make pictures of people without their consent? Absolutely freaking not.
Mhm.
Does that mean you can take your picture where you took a really good picture with a really good smile? You could put it into something and make it businessy so that you can say that, hey, I was in business attire when I did this. Sure, it's your photo. Do whatever you want.
Mhm.
Make it look like you're a grieving widow or a weeping angel. I don't really care. You do you with your own pictures. But for somebody else's stuff, leave that person alone. Don't be doing that crap. It's going to become
Mhm.
illegal right quick, and you're going to end up in jail with Big Burly John next to you, and you ain't that big. Um, so the whole thing is you have to learn to work with it. I work with
Mhm.
AI pretty much every single day. If I have a
Mhm.
question that I need help with, I will switch between 2 of them, maybe 3 of them, and go, "What about this?" And get the,
Mhm.
mass different opinions on all 3, which is always fun. But that
I've never
helps
done
me.
that. I don't think. I've never actually pinned them against each other and be like, which
I
one's
have
gonna give
done it.
me
Here, I have said, "Here, answer this question," and I put it in 3 of them, Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude, and all 3 of them came at me going, "This is your answer," and I kinda went, "Which one of you is right?" But it ain't none of you. Um, would I use, ChatGPT or something to write a legal brief? Absolutely not. You can't
Mm.
trust sources.
Mhm.
Would I use it to, after I've written something, do spelling and grammar? Oh, heck yeah. Because guess what? I can't
Mhm.
spell or do grammar to save my freaking life.
Mhm.
ChatGPT can, and it can make me sound human. I don't always sound human because I'm kind of blunt and robotic. And then I'm like, okay, dude, I need to sell this person that I'll pray for them and all, but I really need this from them too. So help me get, and it will tell me what to say, and it won't sound stupid. And I'll be like, great, got it. Because it has my voice. I have seasoned my chat GPT so that it
Mhm.
doesn't sound like a robot, because that would be the ultimate dumb buttery of me, is to go in
Mhm.
with me already sounding like a robot and have it sound like a robot. Sure. Let's do this. Not.
Yeah.
Let's not. Um, so you have to give you have to give ChatGPT, Claude, whoever. I don't know why I always got to give people names, but give them your voice, your tone, the way you write your sentences, you know, if you like doing stories or whatever, like I tend to do,
Mhm.
like for instances that go way off into the field. It's fine. It's fine. I said, for instance, there's a waterfall in Nigeria, and I kind of went, hmm, yeah, that's fine. That works. That'll be fine. Nobody's gonna question that. It's fine. And then I got asked, are there waterfalls in Nigeria? And I went, probably somewhere. I didn't. I don't know. I didn't say that. I don't know. Was it for instance? Our for instances go wild. It's fine. But if you work with it and you
Mhm.
help it to enhance what you're doing to make your work better, to stand stronger on its own,
Mhm.
then you're using it correctly. If you're
Mhm.
using it to take somebody else's work and make it your own and all that, no, that's
Mhm.
not, it's not
Mm-mm.
okay. There's a
Yeah.
difference. Let's not do the stupids. We don't
Yeah.
need to go to jail over stupid stuff.
Like business ethics. Come back to that.
There is a such thing. Like, I don't know why
Mhm.
people think that there's no such thing. There is a such thing as business ethics,
Mhm.
and there are a lot of people who really need to take that course again.
Mhm.
I have been hearing some stuff, but just it's not going to take over. It's just
Mhm.
going to change things so that you have to know a little bit more. Does that
Mhm.
mean you need a college degree to be a secretary? Absolutely not.
Mhm.
Does it mean you're going to have to take a course to know how to use AI properly? Maybe.
Mhm. Yeah.
Maybe. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, and I think it's no different than, like, having to take, like, a typing course. You have to know how to use the hardware, the software.
Mhm.
It's just part of it's no different. I remember this. I'll definitely age myself on this one too. In undergrad, taking courses on Excel. I don't think they do that anymore. They kind of just assume you know that somehow. But I do remember learning just absolute like software basics.
My high school had a math class that was basically accounting.
Mm-hmm.
And it really did teach you how to write checks, how to, put them, how to
Balance out.
balance your
Yeah.
books and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated high school in 99.
Mm-hmm.
That just aged me a lot. But that's where I learned how to do HTML because that was
Mm-hmm.
what we did back then. Everybody learned how to do HTML back then. In a class, I was there and there were people who could type faster than me, but I already knew HTML before I walked in the room, so I was doing better than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fine. It's not like I was like, haha, I'm better than you. It was me putting my head down and trying to figure out how to use my fingers correctly. Now I can type over 100 words per minute as long as
Oh,
it comes
wow.
from my own brain. But
I-
the second I
I
have to copy a book, it's the
Oh, yeah, no. My accuracy, I think I've got about maybe 50, 60 words a minute, but my accuracy, the faster I get, the accuracy goes to crap.
oh yeah.
So I would say, like, if
But
I
my
need to
problem
be,
isn't
like, accurate,
accuracy. It's my problem isn't accuracy. Mine is just spelling the word wrong. So I just type it all out and then grammar check it. Grammarly
I'll
is a
fix it.
great tool.
Oh my gosh, it is. I purchased, like, the, like, really expensive version for when I started my doctoral program. And then obviously put it on all my emails and put it everywhere after that. And then just kind of learned to incorporate it into, I think I had it on my typing my phone keypad too for a little while. Till eventually some update. I just didn't put it back on there, but definitely like saved everything from, the entire whole process of writing everything. But it was really nice to start using it for business too and saving me on emails and everything else. Because after writing so much in so many papers, I hated proofreading my own work, including emails or anything else I would write. And my team is very sweet because they would just get used to it. Doesn't help when I'm writing stuff to clients. And they were like, "We know what you meant." I'm like, "That's not very professional."
Yeah.
I was like, "I need to start make sure I use it again."
When I first started working with my longest running client, I was in a very dark place mentally, and he would give me tasks to do, and I would here. Sometimes things would overwhelm me a lot because of where I was, but whatever. I got him to eventually. But he was always like, I can't believe you know how to do Excel. And I'm like, it's box. It's not hard. Like, you put the name there, the first name, last name, email, phone number, address, and on and on. Like, this is not hard.
And he can, yeah.
It's just you fill it in. And he would be like, oh, you're just so smart. And I'm like, even when I was mentally not there, I'm like, yeah, I'm not accepting compliments for something. So easy. So, but some people can't do it. Some people have tried to learn how to do Office and things like that, and they don't know how to do it. And that's perfectly fine. I'm not crashing on them. Their job obviously isn't going to be the secretary who needs to use Word every single day or Excel every single day. Their job is going to be something different. And there's no shame in that. It's just you have to do something else where your strengths lie. That is it. If you want to go have a business of your own, go do it. If you have the follow through to actually do it. And it's what you really want to do. Because there's no going into a business and just being like, oh, I hate this. You're not going to be able to grow it to anything.
Or keep up with it. Kind of like even if you stay a solopreneur like yourself, you have to do everything. You have to find your own clients. You have to maintain all the work yourself and everything, and then obviously do all of your own invoicing and all of your own, bookkeeping and stuff like that, and pay yourself and all of it. You have to do everything.
Mhm.
Um, and, I kind of just quickly over the years started getting out myself out of certain responsibilities and delegating that to other areas. And that was probably the one thing that I don't know why, but it was the one thing I was so surprised was that you had to learn everything. I feel like that's why fraud happens a lot, like white collar crime, embezzling, theft, things like that. Because if you don't know how to check your books and you obviously trust the wrong people or whatever, or you just kind of go completely hands off, then people will take advantage of that and, they'll start, stealing or whatever. But I, I definitely saw it when I was the head of HR at other companies, like at the companies, one of the bigger companies I was at. But especially now working with so many companies, I've seen it so many times. I would say, probably 10% of the time. It
Mhm.
happens so frequently. And it's small things from making the company pay for expenses that are personal. I've seen that happen.
Mhm.
And that's usually somewhere in the executive level that's happening. That not always the owner, it can be just an executive. And or, saying something's in a business expense when it doesn't qualify. Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's accidental. And then all the way up to literally people messing with payroll and stealing stuff out of payroll and funneling it to offshore accounts.
Mhm.
We did have a client, it was a hospital chain where the controller we found it because we took over payroll and started noticing money missing. And it was also they were reconciling that benefit bills were getting paid. So they looked paid in all of the bookkeeping. But then instead of paying the bill, the money was going to offshore accounts. And we found about 1 million in embezzling, helped them turn everything over to the FBI. And then I think they found a total of 3 million,
Ow.
but the person had fled the country and were gone. So, it's weird, like, and obviously the CFO was in trouble, the CEO was in trouble, everybody was in trouble. And there has to be checks and balances and oversight. And when, if you're starting up a business and you don't know those things and you're like, well, I don't know accounting, I'm just going to go hire an accountant and be like, okay, you go do my books for me, but you have to know your own business. You have to know what it takes. It's nice to do it all yourself because then you know what it is and you know how to watch for it and you know what it should look like. So
So
I had to,
me
I was scrappy that way and learned it all myself before I delegated.
so I know how to do it all, but when it comes
Hmm.
to it being my money, my brain does this thing where there's like electric static happening in my head. Yeah. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know how to handle this. I'm gonna go hide. So my brain runs back and hides. And that's a bad thing to do when you're looking at numbers because, me and numbers don't get along in the first place. So now, nothing. So, I have a friend who does my books for me. I trust her completely because I
Hmm.
can trust her completely.
Hmm.
She's not gonna do anything stupid. The only reason why I can trust her completely is because of her being who she is, right?
Hmm.
You're not going to find that in a workplace. You're not going to just be like, oh, I can 100% of the way trust this person. It's not
Hmm.
how workplaces work.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
usually, if you're talking about you to an accountant, you want to have a little bit of skepticism because you want to be able to look at those books and go, yeah, those numbers are right, or absolutely no, they're not, right?
Mhm.
So, I do agree with you on being able to do your own book. But if you're like me and your brain, when it comes to your own numbers, is like, what is 2 plus 2 again? Is it? It's 4, right? Why are we doubting it's 4? I don't know, but we're doubting. So, like, my brain does weird stuff when it comes to money. It's a thing. But, so yeah. But if you know that you do not have enough follow through in your body to be a business owner, even if you want to be one, you need
Mhm.
to work for somebody else. And that means that at minimum, you need to work at least a year at every job you have and keep going a
Mhm.
year. Because that tells somebody that you can hold on even if it's hard.
Mhm. Yeah.
You're just not going to stay forever because you don't want to. And that's a lot better than, oh, you only worked there for 3 months and then you moved on. And then 3 months and that's not really a good idea.
Yeah.
Because it makes them think that they're going to waste time and money training you and
Mhm.
you're going to leave in 3 months, which
Yeah.
is a waste of their money and not exactly something you are likely to want to do.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
social media is your poison, then do it well.
Mhm.
Pay attention to what is trending. Pay attention to who's got the best videos. Do not copy them word for word. You have seen people get, put into TikTok timeout for having the same exact video with the same exact words,
Mhm.
saying it's theirs. Just stop copycatting. It's not good. And
Mhm.
do something similar but different so that you have the same wavelength, but you're enough different that nobody's saying, oh, well, they're just riding on the coattails of that person. And I don't know. I am a really big proponent of don't be fake. I don't care what you're
Yeah.
doing. In business, in personal life, if you try to be an influencer, don't be fake. We don't
Yeah. I
need any
think
more Barbies out there.
if you have a genuine, like, purpose of whatever it is, that usually is more successful than you're just like, I wanted money. I'm at this for money." If you do the thing well, the money will follow.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you start caring about the money, it's you'll lose everything. Like, you have to stay to the original genuine purpose of whatever it is. And if it makes you happy, then that's even better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do what makes you happy that you have passion for, because that's what's gonna drive you in the long run. Because you have to stick with something for, like you said, a long time to make it worthwhile and be profitable out of it
Mm-hmm.
and be successful out of it, because it takes hours to get good at something.
Look, there are people who put those million piece Lego sets together to make a huge
Mhm.
castle. I don't have the patience to get through half of it. I cannot do the same motion over and over and over and no, no, no. Do I think it looks pretty? Would I like to have one? Sure. But it better be pretty built when it gets to me. Otherwise, it's going to stay in the box for the rest of its life. Because absolutely not. That's too many puzzle pieces. I don't need that. So you have to know who you are before you can find out what you want to do and anything else.
Mhm.
If that means it takes you a little bit longer, fine. Go work for McDonald's until you figure it out.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely don't waste time at college. I think that's the other thing that our
Yeah.
generation figured out was, we were told, "Go to college, get the job, make the money." And that doesn't work anymore. College was way too expensive. I didn't pay off undergrad till I was 35, and, by then I was in grad school and my PhD. So, yeah, I will have school debt forever. But the it's not like you can just go to college and get a job anymore and get a job in your field.
Mhm.
That's not a thing.
Well,
So, as easy as it was more, I mean, it was easier for, the what would say older Gen X's, because college was affordable.
mhm,
And um and the job market was very, very different than it has changed over different economic changes and
mhm,
crashes and everything else that has happened. And the now I definitely think the, younger generation needs to figure it out first before you just go wasting. I mean, I honestly think the millennials probably should have done the same thing before just wasting money at college too. But yeah, figuring out, because trade
mhm.
schools, you can make tons of money just going to a
That's the
trade
other
school
thing.
versus,
Sometimes you don't even need the trade school. I say
yeah,
sometimes.
like,
Because if you want to be an electrician, go find an electrician.
yeah,
Oh, well, if
you can
you
do
if
apprenticeships, whatever. Yeah, on the job training. Yeah, absolutely. And you can still make extremely like 6 figures doing
Mhm.
that without ever going to college.
Yeah.
And we're having tons of these like shortages in the workforce in different industries because of this crap. And, everyone was like, "Oh, but the 4-year degree." And it's like, that
You don't need it.
doesn't, no, not at all. And, so I definitely agree that
I
people need
mean,
to figure
if
out
you
what they
wanna
want to
be
do.
the stupid thing here is if you wanna be a teacher, yes, you need to have a college degree. Unfortunately, you'll probably never pay it off because you'll be a teacher.
Mhm. Yeah.
So there's that. Not that I'm disparaging teachers. A
It's a
lot of
passion thing.
teachers
A lot of yeah, there's money, passion, trade-offs, yeah.
Mhm. There are a lot of
And
teachers that are good at what they do. There are also
mhm,
some that are absolute garbage and should never be teachers. Here's the thing, teachers, nurses, cops, military, all of them
mhm,
are a type of thing where the training to get into them is very strict and people do it because they have a passion for it. I want to do this because I think I want to help people, right?
mhm.
But there's also that mean girl from high school who decided to become a nurse because she can be a mean girl to the old people and nobody's going to care.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like abuse in those situations, but I've always wondered, like, what kind of person does that?
The mean girl from high school who's bullying you. But in any of those fields, that's what happens. You can have
Yeah.
all the best intentions from all the right people, then you get those couple of people in who are the Regina George or whatever her name was, and they're completely awful people and they will muck about.
Mhm.
And then you have just incompetence. Sometimes anybody can be, oh, you finished your degree, you can become a teacher. You don't know how to string two sentences together. Let's make you an English teacher.
Mhm.
When I was in high school, we had a somebody from South Africa who was educated in Britain
Mhm.
become a English teacher at my high
Everything
school.
is gonna be spelled in, like, British English.
She would stop in the middle of the sentences and go, "Wait, what does that word mean in your English?" Lady, I'm not here to teach you. She also never understood that I read the entire book the day she gave it to me. I'm not going to sit here and read along with your slow butts while y'all try to continue reading it day after day. I'm going to be reading my own book, which changes daily, and you can tell me where you are so that I can read. She would get so mad that I wasn't reading with them. And I'm like, I am not slow. I read at a college level. You cannot make me do this. I'm not doing it. Tell me what page and I'll read. Finally, she'd tell me what page and I read it. And she'd be like, oh, you do know how to read. Yes. And if you don't want me to flip this table, maybe you should shut up. It's a very angry teen, and she's just over there popping off her mouth. And I was just like, this chair throwing thing is looking good today. But no, I never threw a chair at her. Did I want to? Did I fantasize about it? Heck yeah. Yeah, how annoying it is for somebody who had to, scrimp and scratch and claw my way to where I was at for her to be like, does this mean the same in your language as it does in mine? Thought we were all speaking English. No, go away. No, it was I did not like having a non-English speaking English teacher. It's a little weird for me and didn't appreciate it at all. And sometimes my favorite teacher would come, she'd hear her yelling at me. She'd come to the door and say, Nikki, come with me. And I leave that chick's room
Like, bye.
faster than Speedy Gonzalez. Okay. And she would just be like, are you okay? No, why is she yelling at me like that? Does she not know who I am? Like, I'm supposed to have an attitude problem, and it ain't even going to be my problem. It'll be hers. She'd get me calmed down and have me do stuff for her for the rest of the class. Like, This lady would yell at me, and I'm just sitting there going, "Chica, you're not speaking the English. What is wrong with you?" So yeah, high school was fun for me. Had a lot of trauma in my background, had a lot of anger in my soul because of that trauma. And here people are yelling at me. It very much did not go well for me or them. It was just, yeah, don't start fighting with me. I will fight back. Then I got my first job. And I couldn't fight back anymore because it was customer service. And I had to learn how to like work it. And I was like, okay, I can do this. It's got a little bit easier, but I still didn't like that lady. She didn't know I didn't like her anymore because my face didn't show it. Because my face, if I'm not careful, will tell you exactly what I'm feeling. Even if I'm quiet, you know, the I told you so face.
You're like, check your face. Yeah, I had to figure that out in HR for not wearing, my emotions on my sleeve because I would have to go from, firing somebody, writing somebody up, talking about someone's terminal illness or whatever to just room to room to room to room and all these meetings and then have corporate meetings and, running different things all in the same day. It's exhausting. But those are the kinds of things where eventually you kind of have to separate emotions with everything else, or at least what's on your face. Like you can't just walk out of a room and everyone know exactly what just happened in there. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was in an alignable meeting, and it was one of those group meetings. So there was a bunch of people in there. And this guy starts talking about how we should go buy his stock and that, he does all this stuff. And as he's talking, I'm realizing that this guy is illegal as hell. Like,
Oh,
the stuff he is talking about is illegal as hell. The
like,
stocks he was talking about is insider trading. I'm not buying nothing. And I'm just so like, eventually I sit back because I'm like, I can't say anything because it won't be a nice anything that comes out of my mouth, like at all. And my friend, who was also in the room, texted me and saying, "Fix your face." Because I didn't realize it, but my face was going illegal.
like, yeah, no.
And then, just for shits and giggles, she went to the trade thing to find his stock, and it had been locked by the Trade Commission as a fraudulent stock.
Oh, shock.
So she called me and she was like, "Your face told the truth." It really does.